Hey, what's going on everyone? Hawks21 here, back with another Splinterlands video. So the Mav chat has been popping off this morning because Aggy dropped this question for everyone. I'm going to read the question, get into it, talk about it, sort of see where I stand and ask any questions that I have. I'm sort of reacting to this a little bit live. It's impossible to follow along in Mav chat. There are just too many people talking at this point. So I decided to pull out the message and sort of create our own little conversation, both in hopefully the comments of this video, as well as I'll post this to my Twitter as well. So I want to hear what you guys think about this idea. I'll sort of give some of my thoughts, but first I'm going to read it. Mavs, I have a question. I have a major movie studio that wants to make a pack with us to sell. Okay, that line alone is pretty great. Normally, we only have 2 packs available for sale, one main set and one offset. So this would be Chaos Legion and Rift Watchers, for example. Rebellion is going to have its own mini set, like Rift Watchers. For Chaos Legion, it was Dice. This would be another mini set and a deviation from our normal sales plan. So that makes it seem like they wouldn't use this as the Rebellion mini set. So that's sort of my first thing. I feel like why don't we take the normal sales plan and just have that mini set be this major movie studio pack release? So that's sort of my first thought, a couple sentences in. I wouldn't launch another mini set with slowly Splinterlands IP right now. I'd wait for Rebellion. But since it's a major movie studio, I think it's worth exploring. Okay, so he's basically saying he acknowledges that probably not the best time to be launching a series of cards. Sort of launching new packs for us to have to buy. But because it's a major movie studio, that's the only reason why he's even bringing it up. Okay, again, so my initial thought is, why don't we tie this into Rebellion? Why isn't this the Rebellion mini set? For this, I'm planning on 2 million packs. It's not an insignificant amount of packs for a promo, especially if it's not the Rebellion mini set. Something like $5 to $10 with a portion payable in vouchers. So that's not cheap, but good voucher utility. Especially if vouchers give a huge discount, right? You almost make vouchers a little bit mandatory. Like, let's say they priced it at 10, but it can be 5 with, 5 vouchers or whatever it is. That automatically creates big voucher value. I can't share the movie studio yet and can't share what cast of characters would be in the set. If this works now, then in the future, we can get a steady stream of promo cards and packs that are branded with characters from new and existing entertainment, movie, TV, comic franchises to cross over into Splinterlands. Okay, so I'll touch on this when I give my opinion, but can't share the movie studio and can't share what cast of characters is a big part of it. I won't touch on that now, but that's something we're going to key back in on. Things to consider. We've stopped printing transferable reward cards. That's true. Normally right now we'd have a bunch of reward cards hitting the market every single day. But we cut those short and now they're soulbound. So there is objectively less sort of liquid cards hitting the market day over day over day. We're going to run out of Chaos Legion packs in a max of 25 days. There's only 770k packs left for sale, since 500k are reserved for nifty packs and chest rewards until Rebellion. So it's kind of counting that other proposal as passed. It looks like it is going to pass, at least unless there's a big negative sort of swing coming in. So basically, stop printing transferable reward cards. Chaos Legion's running out soon. Number 3, Land 1.5 is going to have several ways for you to stake more cards than those that exist. And that should be out in Q2. So Land's coming. Land 1.5 in Q2 is coming. It looks like we're going to be able to stake cards on Land in Q2. And there's not going to be enough cards. So the idea is, it might seem like launching cards right now isn't the best idea. But when Land comes out, we're going to be begging for more cards. So good to know. Rebellion isn't likely to hit until Q3. Okay, I like this. I think we should be pushing Rebellion out. So to here it's Q3, so that's, what is that? July, August, September timeframe. We target April, May to release this mini set. Okay, so they sort of thread it in before Rebellion. Got it. Okay, so let's talk about it. Right off the bat, we're going to come back to the I can't share the movie studio and can't share what cast of characters part, because that obviously makes a huge difference. If the next stuff I say is super, super, super positive and I'm all gung-ho and for this, and then it's, you know, the major movie studio is a little bit of a stretch and the cast of characters isn't super recognizable, and it's more of like a niche community or something, then, you know, I'm going to be less positive. But if the next stuff I say is mostly negative and they come out and they say like Marvel, well, then that's going to change my opinion, obviously. So this is a huge, huge, huge part of it. And that's ultimately what would dictate whether or not this is a good idea or not. So I'm not sure, you know, you can't even really dive in that deep into the specific concept, because the most important factor we don't even know. So there's just not enough information to truly say whether this is a good idea or not. But we can sort of talk about the broad concept. So let's talk about a positive thing first, a little foreshadowing. If this is a recognizable major movie studio, which they seem to be insinuating, then that helps give credibility to the ecosystem. So what's happening in crypto right now? We have bankruptcies, we have people not getting their funds, we have the whole FTX debacle. So, you know, regular main, you know, movie studio type companies are going to be careful before, you know, starting to deal with crypto companies right now. Think about how everyone who's affiliated with FTX is just getting absolutely flamed, you know, in the media, on Twitter, whatever it is, right? People aren't happy with the people and the companies that partnered and promoted FTX. So if you're able to come out and say, okay, we have a new movie, this big recognizable movie studio that everyone knows is partnering with this crypto Web3 game, that gives a level of credibility to Splinterlands right now at a time when most of the crypto ecosystem doesn't have it. So that's one positive. A second positive would obviously be what could happen in the future with this, right? This goes well, you then have it's kind of, it's what we've talked about before, right? So think about the Genesis League Soccer. If Genesis League Soccer goes well, the Splinterlands company is then able to reach out to other sports leagues and be like, look, here's what we built for soccer. You know, European soccer leagues. We can build the exact same thing with the MLS that we did for you. Hey, NBA, NFL, MLB, we can build a similar type concept game for you guys. Tower defense, right? You can go to sort of small, more mobile gaming studios and be like, hey, here's how we worked a tower defense game into our ecosystem. You know, your sort of niche specific mini game we think could also fit in well. Boom. Here's the playbook. Now, superhero, Marvel. Let's say this isn't Marvel, obviously, but this test run goes well. You then get a meeting with Marvel and say, we would love to turn, all the superheroes, all the villains, all the characters into Splinterlands cards. We did it with this movie studio and it was very, very successful, right? So you need to build a track record of doing that. So that is important, and that's a big thing. Let's talk about the other side of the coin. I personally just don't think at this current stage, kind of what I talked about with the credibility stuff, people are, dying to get involved in Web3 and crypto gaming. right? I think it's a questionable time to be launching this sort of initiative, right? And it's not like it's the team's fault, right? If they have the opportunity to pursue something like this, they should 100% always pursue something like this. They ultimately have to make a decision at the end, but they should go through this process and get to the point where, whether they pull the trigger or not. So like them exploring this is 100% positive, and they should do this every single time. But when you zoom out and you think about, all right, should we actually hit go on this? I have to imagine if it is a major gaming studio, or major movie studio, and these characters are notable, getting access to the IP isn't cheap, right? Splinterlands has to pay something to, use these cards, use these images, use these characters. I think that could be what we're seeing represented in the price as well. $5 to $10 is not cheap for a, promo sub set. Specifically a company that just, laid off some of the people who work for it. It would just be interesting timing to me. I mean, maybe it shows that, they feel in a much more comfortable spot in terms of runway than they did a couple months ago. But I guess part of my concern would be, did the recent bounce we got that's been relatively short term, that definitely isn't guaranteed to last, has that sort of, have people put the rose-colored glasses back on? Because I'd be worried that happened a little too soon, I guess. The other part of this is, let's assume that this is successful, okay? It launches a bunch of players or a bunch of people from the movie studio ecosystem or the character ecosystem or whatever it is, come into Splinterlands. All right, we get them into the door. That's the goal of this. It then becomes the Splinterlands' responsibility to keep them here, to keep them playing the game, to invest into the ecosystem. And I personally just don't think the new player experience is in a spot where we're going to have an easy time retaining this massive influx of people. And that's part of the reason why I love the Nifty idea so much, and why I called it a no-brainer. If you don't know, it's not giving the 500k packs. It's Splinterlands using 500k Chaos Legion packs to build decks for use on Nifty Arcade. Part of the reason why I love that so much is for things like this, right? You have a bunch of people inbound from a different community into Splinterlands through cross-marketing. You then have a place to refer them. Nifty Arcade, hey, go get a deck here. Make it as seamless as possible for them, right? As soon as they buy a spellbook, a pop-up comes up directing them to Nifty Arcade, being like, lock in your deck. Go grab a deck. That's an improvement to the new player experience. That's starting, and I don't think that's all you need. I think you need more than that. But what I'm skeptical of is, even if this is successful, right? So that's a whole other conversation that we're not actually going to get into until we know the movie studio and the characters. There's really no point in talking about it. But if it is successful, we then have to retain these people, right? They can't just come in, buy a couple of these promo packs, play for a couple of months, not a couple of months, play for a couple of weeks, and then get bored of the game and leave, right? That wouldn't be the goal of this. I assume it's going to cost more than the value we would receive from that if that was the case. This is about bringing in people for the long term. What I would love to see more from the team is data on this. I would love to see some retention data. People who come in and buy a spell book in 1 month, what percentage of them are playing the next month? What percentage of them are playing the next month? What percentage of them are playing 6 months from now? I think stuff like that can really help the community think about these decisions, because we are asked for feedback, right? So giving feedback we would need some of that information. Okay, so what are some of the like happy mediums we could do here where we're not putting in tons of cards, right? We're not, 2 million packs at $10. That's not cheap. What are some things we could do? First thing that I already said was make this the Rebellion mini set. Make this the mini set that is tied in with Rebellion. I don't know if we've got an announcement for what that's going to be, or what the name of that is, but it's so far away that this should just be it. Make this it. I think that would make a lot of sense because it would fit into our normal sales plan and we would get this big promotional thing. I think that almost becomes the best of both worlds because we're going to get a release like this, a couple million for $5 alongside Rebellion in our mini set. Make it this one. So that's number one. I think this becomes a lot more, I think it becomes a risk worth taking if it replaces a mini set. Because there's really no risk then. It's a cost to get the IP, but in terms of cards and the economy, and potentially flooding the economy with too many cards at once, or having too many releases at once, if you work this into a regularly scheduled and timed release, that takes a lot of those risks off the table. Okay, number two. Aggro already said in the Mav chat, this is one of the things I did see. Someone brought up the idea of, let's just do like 10 promo cards. Why do we have to make these packs? As a little test, and it could be like a dry run of the voucher store. Let's have 10 promo cards that go up, and that's it. Right, people can just buy these promo cards directly from the store instead of doing this big pack release. But Aggro did say that the studio wanted to start with packs. I think the promo card idea was a really good one. And again, this is not against the team. If the movie studio is demanding that it be packs, then at some point there's nothing you can do except either take it or walk away, right? So that is an area where I think you could take some risk off the table as well. If you're not doing this big pack release and you're doing a timed promo card release, so for a week, these promo cards are going to be available. Buy them if you want, don't if you don't. Yeah. So the last thing I would say too is what I wish Splinterlands would do more of is events, right? So we just had Valentine's Day. Christmas was a couple months ago. I want Christmas-themed things. I want Valentine's Day-themed things. I want Halloween-themed things. A lot of games do that well. A lot of Web 2 games do that well. There's limited time events. I know resources are scarce, right? It's not like we're a major game studio who has time to put out all these limited edition things. But maybe there's like let's say this is, again, I keep using Marvel just because everyone knows it, but let's say this is Marvel superheroes. It's not going to be Marvel superheroes, just so you know, but I'm just using that as an example. Maybe there's some sort of superhero minigame that goes alongside with it. Maybe there's a superhero-based tutorial that goes along with it. Superhero-based rule sets. Something that freshens things up and gets people interested in playing Splinterlands. So let's cater to this community that could potentially be coming in through not just the release of these cards, but limited time events. I don't know exactly what that would look like, but I think that could potentially help with the player retention, my player retention skepticism, I guess would be what I would say. Okay. I'm going to stop it there. Honestly, talked a little bit longer than I wanted to, especially based on we don't have the key information over, which is who the studio is and who the characters are. Again, if I can change my opinion, I hold the right to change my opinion if it comes out and the movie studio is super overwhelming or super underwhelming, because that will obviously change what's worth it and what's not. Overall, I would say I lean slightly to the negative camp. I see why they would want to do this. I sort of just question the timing and our ability to keep people here. But, hopefully they can release some more details as we go, and we can have more informed opinions and, better data just to make these types of decisions and provide our opinion as a community. All right, I'm going to stop it there. Thanks for listening. If you enjoy Splinterlands content like this, it would be awesome if you could take a second to like and subscribe. Let me know what you think about this in the comments. I'm very curious. I can't go through Mav chat. It's too insane. I can't read what everyone's saying. So, what have I missed? Have there been clarifying details that I haven't seen? Curious to hear your opinions on this. Obviously, we don't have a ton of information, but still. All right. Hope you guys are having a good day, and I will talk to you soon.